Vigilant Citizen. My name is Josh. Thank you all for joining us for a very special episode. And look, I'm saying us because there's two of us. I want to introduce my good friend. There's actually three of us. There's the potting mix behind us. As my good friend Adam pointed out earlier, you're going to get the potting mix in the frame. And I'm like, yeah,
look at that.
That's the second guest.
Look at the big green leafy explosion.
There we go. Problem solved.
So that's why, yeah.
See, I make solutions. I make things happen. So
there it is.
There it is. Thank you all so much for joining today. As I said, I've got my friend Adam here. Adam was actually on the very first attempt that we had at a podcast. We did a movie podcast.
Yes.
And he's also the funniest person I know. So there's probably going to be a decent amount of laughter on this because I will laugh at his jokes. He will not laugh at mine.
It's true.
That's been our friendship for the last 10 years. I bring the seriousness in the friendship. So
he's the straight man. I'm the funny one.
He's the not straight. No. So thank you so much for joining and agreeing to come outside. I know it's hot. You got your drink, right? I got some tea.
What
do you have? Yeah, what is it?
I drank it already.
Yeah.
The fruit punch one.
It's fruit punch. It couldn't be.
The other.
What was the other one that was in there? There was a million of them?
Well, yeah, because nobody wants them. They're garbage.
What was it, though?
It's hot garbage and cold garbage. No.
Well, they were all in the fridge. So
it was
they were all
some citrus thing.
Well, that's not the name of it. I don't remember the name.
It was a kiwi.
Passion fruit. No.
Well, that's the one I got. I got the fruit punch.
Passion fruit punch.
And then the other two, whatever they are.
They were bad.
Because, yeah, I don't...
According to him.
Whatever. Hey, just a side note for the makers. More fruit punch, less everything else.
So those of you who work for Capri Sun, a subsidiary of, I don't know, Pepsi Cola probably, because they own everything, don't they?
That's true.
More fruit punch. Please deliver them to your local supermarkets and your non-local supermarkets like ours.
To the winner of the Cola Wars, PepsiCo.
Yes, may they rest in peace. Thank you so much for joining. You wanted to talk, astoundingly, about comedy. And
what?
So Adam reached out to me and he's like, dude. And I'm like, what?
And
then I didn't hear from him for like 2 days.
I wanted. This isn't about free market economics and this is humor. Oh, this is that one.
Oh, did you want to have a serious discussion about the invisible hand and elasticity?
Maybe someday, because you do know I am a free market economist and I do like that stuff.
I know.
But
he never shuts up about it.
Not this. Yeah, that's true. I don't, because nobody does it.
He's like, look at my invisible hand, Josh. And I'm like,
look, they're messing with the invisible hand. They're messing with it. Let it do its thing.
Let it be invisible.
Let it be. It's got to be free. Anyway.
Do you know what kind of tea I have? Earl Grey.
Hot.
No, people are gonna watch this and be like, "Who are these jokers?
Yeah.
And what are they laughing at?" This is how long have we been friends? Since 2004. So a long time.
16, 18 years.
And so, I mean, we know each other's sense of humor pretty well at this point. I think.
I moved in across the hall, and then that was the end of everyone else.
Civilized world as we know it. We just ended it.
Yeah, that's what happened.
You know, I'm trying to bring it back with this channel, but so far today, I'm done doing all my hard work.
We're not mowing the lawn. We're not doing chores.
Oh, and that lawn needs to be mowed. We were talking about it just a moment ago. Like, I cannot wait until my wife gets back home so she can mow the lawn. So it's getting really tall. So anyway, you wanted to talk about humor and why it's important. I gotta tell you, I already feel better.
Well,
cathartic.
It's all of that's true, and why humor is important. It's important for a lot of reasons, but the first one is really to talk about issues and topics that normally are hard to deal with, like if somebody has a life-changing injury or has death or something like that. Now, I'm gonna spring one on him
So
here.
it's okay to joke about a three-legged dog.
It is. Well, there's
All right, this interview's over.
really, there's no end. there's no end what you can joke about. In all reality, if you wanted to joke about the Holocaust, really, just be careful with it. Yeah, you're going to offend some people. That's always the way. But if you're offended, shut up and just sit there and take it. Because then we'll get back to stuff that doesn't offend you, and that will be funny, and you will feel better about life.
So proper context, though. You're talking about in the case of like a show or something.
Yeah.
You're not talking about like you're in the meeting, your boss is there, and you stand
Don't
up and
do it at
start
work.
telling a bunch of jokes. And
Yeah.
stuff. You're talking about in the proper context. If you go there knowing
You're going to quit?
that you're going,
You know you're going to quit. Hey, I have some stuff to say.
how many? No, I'm not.
What's the hardest part about eating a vegetable?
Don't finish that. I don't know what you're gonna say, but don't finish it.
Okay.
You can tell me after.
All right, I will tell you after.
No, I mean, don't go into like a comedy club or something.
Right.
And
Right.
if you're in a bad mood or something, don't go in with the expectation that, or getting ready to be angry or something.
And not only that, but go in with the expectation that, and already have the mindset that if they talk about your religion or your political party or whatever it is, have the mindset that, hey, I might not like what's being said, but is everyone else laughing? Are they having a good time? Maybe I shouldn't try to
Maybe
ruin
it's
that.
me. Would you?
Maybe I
go.
either need to do one of two things. One, I need to sit there and just relax, maybe have another drink, and think about life and think things through. Or two, I need to get up and leave because I can't handle the situation.
Yeah.
And or three, stand up, say what you're going to say, and have the comedian kick you out.
That's my favorite option. We'll get to that a little bit later when I have you kick me out. No, would you agree for something like that, like at a comedy club where there's a stand-up comedian, that there's a sort of social contract that the comedian's gonna poke fun at you and everything you hold dear, but it's all in good fun, and he's gonna move on, or she, if they're funny.
Yeah.
No offense, but the majority of really funny people tend to be males. So I'm not saying that to whatever. So but the social contract is that they're gonna poke fun at you and everything you hold dear, and then move on to the next one and poke fun at them and everything they hold dear. And there is a line there. Would you agree? Maybe you wouldn't agree with this. Is there a line that comedians can cross where they're being too callous, too cruel? And digging too far on one group, and they haven't moved on to another one, and they don't, or something.
Well, me personally, I don't think there is a line. I don't think there is a place where. Well, maybe there is.
It's a dotted line.
But even if the comedian crosses that line, the comedian themselves have to be the ones to realize that and pull it back. If they suddenly realize, oh, there's not as much laughter here, maybe I've gone too far. And you'll see that a lot. You'll see, especially with I don't know.
If you go to Philadelphia and make fun of all of them for drawing Ford Focuses.
Yeah, that's right. He's talking about Bill Burr.
I am.
He's like, you guys suck. And then he just insulted them for the next, I got 18 minutes left, guys. This is how we're going to do it.
For context, there was a Bill Burr stand-up in which he was in Philadelphia, and it was a group of them. It was like 3 or 4 comedians, and he was like 4th or 5th, and he watched as all these other comedians got up on the stage, and they just got booed and pestered, and it was a horrible audience. So he just got up and he's like, I'm not even going to do my show. I'm just going to insult all of you. So he did it.
You guys are the worst.
And he started counting down. He was like, 10 minutes left. Sorry, I interrupted.
And at the end, mic drop. Yeah.
Yeah. And they cheered him.
Yeah. They loved that.
Yeah.
Who knew? Bill Burr knew. Bill Burr knew.
Yeah.
That's the mark of a good comedian.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You're talking about the line.
Yeah. Oh, the line.
If there is one.
And and sometimes you will see that because I went and saw. Oh God, I can't remember his name now. He did get canceled because he was jerking off in
'Cause
front
he's
of
funny?
people.
Oh. Yeah, well, that's probably a good reason to get canceled.
Redheaded guy, had his own show at one point on FX.
Louis C.K.
Louis C.K.
How do I know that and you don't? You just
I'm
forgot
having
the name.
trouble with names today. I couldn't remember Joan Rivers.
Drink
earlier.
another Capri Sun.
I need some alcohol or something. It's all sticking together up here today.
You can loosen that
I'm
up.
getting old. I can't remember. What was I talking about?
The line.
The line.
If there is one.
So, with Louis C.K. and some other comedians have done jokes about pedophiles and pedophilia. And at first, they're really laying in to the pedophiles or doing whatever. And the crowd's like, yeah, they're horrible people. We get it, blah, blah, blah. Then they'll make that one joke that seems to make themselves out to be a little that way. And then the crowd's still laughing, but they're not quite as hard. Yeah. And then there'll be like 2 or 3 jokes. And then the comedian realizes, yeah, I probably should not do this anymore. And they'll pull back and they'll go to something else.
Yeah, redirect.
So generally the comedian should know that line.
But you're also saying is that if they don't, if I've gone to the show, I have accepted that that's a possibility, and my options are sit there and endure it, even if I don't like it, even if he is being malicious, or get up and walk out.
Yeah.
But I paid good money for that show.
Yeah,
I
well,
should get a refund.
sometimes they'll give it to you, sometimes they won't. It just depends on what
the
it
breaks.
Yeah.
Hi, Jarvis.
It depends on what it says on the ticket, because I mean, a lot of tickets will say no refunds at all, and you won't get your money back. But some tickets will say rain checks available, or it just depends on the venue or the show.
Yeah.
As with
Refunds
really
for the
anything.
easily offended.
Yeah. If your hair is dyed a certain... No, never mind. I'm not going to go there. I don't want to get political.
Unnatural colors only.
Really? Does the carpet match the drapes? That's a natural color. They dyed everything.
A moment ago, you're like, I'm not going to go there. And then you say that.
Well, you started. You kept going. You kept going. I had to do it.
Okay. What was that old joke we always used to say about you? Is
I
that
don't
I,
wanna be cussing,
I
but
would
you're
take
making
us
me
up to the line with my humor, and then you would just jump over
Yeah, I
that
would
line,
be
turn
like, what
around,
line?
and urinate on
Oh,
the
that's
line.
a line? That's what it looks like? I never took math.
Now I know what lines. Axiom 5. So you're saying that humor is important because in some sense you can joke about anything, so you can connect with this. I'm interpreting a little bit, but
Yeah.
you can connect with anybody through use of humor, and it doesn't even have to be verbal. It doesn't have to be through language, right? Because you can have slapstick humor that somebody
Three Stooges.
who
Yep.
doesn't understand your language could also
Chaplin.
understand too. So
Yeah, there's a lot of classic comedians that
the neighborhood.
did a lot of that. So yeah, but mostly today it's verbal, and a lot of it's the stand-up. Sometimes you'll see that written into movies. Like we were just talking about Major League. That's kind of a nice classic comedy, stuff like that. But yeah, it's important because like any topic, like when we're talking about mowing the yard, or doing housework, you can make jokes about that. You can make jokes. I mean, political. You can make jokes about money. You can make. I mean, really,
Hair color.
any hair color, anything. There's really no limit. Social media.
Well, you can't make a joke about my hair because it sucks to be you, man.
I said he was follically challenged. No joke.
And then I told him,
No
what did I
joke,
say?
really.
Well, I was engineered that way.
I said you were
You
engineered
you said that.
biologically engineered for your pleasure.
The cue ball, the human
Yeah.
cue ball.
Yeah. So yeah, and you can relate and stuff, and you should freely be allowed to say that. That's leads me into like the free speech part of it. Lenny Bruce is a classic comedian. He was really edgy, and especially for his time in the 50s and 60s. If you don't know who Lenny Bruce is, go look him up. Go look up his material. The reason why he was so controversial in those days was he swore on stage. I know. Who would have thought with today's stand-up comedy, who doesn't swear on stage? So we've gone like 180.
Now that's a differentiator.
Yeah, like if somebody doesn't cuss on
Who
stage,
is that
it's
guy?
like, who is, yeah, arrest that guy. He's different.
Yeah, Jarvis, go get him. That's my police dog.
Yeah, so that's why another reason why comedy is important, especially for that free speech aspect of it, because he got arrested for
Oh, I heard about
vulgarity
that. Yeah.
on stage. And they charged him. That's what they charged him with, being vulgar on stage.
What year was this? Must have been like 60s?
It was a whole bunch of different times. I mean, he must have gotten arrested 2-3 dozen times for
Okay.
it.
But
So-
what was the time span? Was it like 60s to 90s? Is he still getting arrested today?
No.
Some say he's still getting arrested.
No, it was mainly. I believe he started in the late 50s, like 58,
Okay.
around there,
Yeah.
and was really popular through the 60s, mid 60s, into
Okay.
the early 70s.
Yeah.
And he's got a tragic story. I'll leave it at that. But hilarious guy, just happened to use some vulgarity on stage. But that was the point. Is he would often build it in there to that vulgarity to make a point, and then they would come in and arrest him for it. And it was
So was he deliberately trying to get arrested?
yes.
And I know this isn't your point. This is what you're trying to get to. But I just want to make sure I have the whole
yeah.
context.
Well, it does go to my point in that
Oh.
he's bringing
Perfect.
a point
Yeah.
using comedy.
Gotcha. So he's using it in some sense as a social commentary
Yeah.
to expand the conversation.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And not, and kind of shine a light on, hey, this is wrong.
Yeah.
What we do is wrong, and I'm going to change it, and this is how I'm changing it. And he did.
By getting people to talk about it at the dinner table.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Which kind of actually leads me into the second person I want to talk about. Which
Perfect.
Is Joan Rivers.
Perfect and Schlagen.
And this is what kind of got the whole ball rolling. Is I was sitting there, I was watching. I can't even remember what I was watching, but I was like, "Hey, this is an important topic. We need to talk about comedy and how comedians are kind of being silenced today." And the way that they're doing it is now like a mass scale, versus what happened to Joan Rivers in the clip I sent you. I think it was in Wisconsin or somewhere in the northern Midwest, where she's doing this comedy bit, and she does a joke about Helen Keller, and this guy says, "I had a deaf son."
Yeah, he starts out by
Serious,
shouting like, "That's not funny!" Right?
Yeah. I had a
And then she responds with, "Oh, it is too funny, you stupid son of a bitch."
yeah, and she lays. It's not even that funny. She rips him
Yeah.
big time, and personally, I didn't think Joan Rivers was. I mean, I think she's funny, but she's not incredibly funny. Like,
But she's no Amy
Richard-
Schumer.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say Richard Pryor, but she doesn't have as much of a tan as he did. So there you
There's
go.
that.
I wasn't gonna get political, and then I said that.
How's that political?
I
Don't
know.
answer that.
That's racist. Anyway, people are gonna call me that.
Sure.
Well, it doesn't matter because even in this conversation, we're gonna end up offending people, and that's just the way it is.
We're going to offend bald people. Did you know there's
So-
a law in the UK where they're passing where you can't make fun of a bald man's head?
You should go live there.
I have more rights. I have more rights in the UK now. Or I guess maybe not more, just different rights. Now I can sue people who insult my bald head.
Yeah, but you only get the English pound out of it, so I don't know
Yeah,
if it's
may
worth
not
it.
be worth it. Their common law.
Where are you going to
is
spend that here in the U.S.?
thousands of centuries years old.
You have to go to a bank.
What's the exchange rate?
Yeah.
No, they use the euro.
Oh yeah.
wait, I guess
well,
maybe
'cause
England might not anymore.
That's what Brexit was all about, or at least part of what it was about.
Yeah.
And I think you can actually use both.
So I have to sue them in Scotland
Yeah.
to get the euros.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's
sorry.
part of the UK. It's all good.
Sorry, Joan Rivers.
This is never gonna go the way you expect it to.
Yeah, I'm cutting all of this.
It's all It's all this. This is the straight line we wanted to talk about. This is what we're actually
We've
doing.
been over Adam's understanding of lines, and now
Yeah.
we're seeing it
Yeah.
demonstrated.
So, Joan Rivers and the heckler, it really made me understand that that's what comedy really is about.
Well, that was her whole point, too, right?
Yeah.
She even when she laid into the guy, she said something about comedy is supposed to be funny. It's supposed to talk about things that we may not want to talk about, and that's what it's for.
That are uncomfortable, and this is a outlet
Yeah,
to do that in a more comfortable way.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you even see it in different cultures and societies. I mean, the Irish and especially, well, the Irish, I was going to say, and the Scottish, but no, mostly the Irish. They love joking about funerals and stuff, and yeah.
That explains why I laughed at the girl when she said, "Oh, my grandfather died." Do you remember that?
I remember you telling me that story.
Oh, we were in the dorms way back. This is
Oh
like,
wait, I was there, wasn't I?
you
I was
were
sitting
totally
right
there. You were.
Yeah.
It was me, you, and her.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
And out of nowhere, that's why I think it was funny. First of all, we were talking about like classes or loans, or it was school related in some aspect. And out of nowhere, she was pondering and thinking.
Yeah, it went
something.
quiet, didn't it?
It went quiet.
Yeah.
And out of nowhere, she goes, "Well, my grandfather died," and it was so out of place,
It's out of place. Yeah.
and ridiculous.
Yeah.
Now, you had a different reaction than I did.
Yeah.
You had this
that sounds right.
you had a quizzical like, "Excuse me, I don't really understand." I'm not understanding here how this relates to what we were talking about.
And Adam's over here
This guy, I'm
laughing.
like,
Laughing.
I just immediately was like, "Oh my god, that's hilarious!" And I tried to hold it in, but you know when you do that, that's what I did. And I laughed for a good 10, 15 seconds. I was like,
You're like, oh, she's
Got myself-
serious.
"You're serious? I didn't mean to interrupt you. I totally apologize. That was totally inappropriate.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna sit here
You know
and
what?
be quiet."
You know what that probably was is we were young and in college, and we didn't know each other that well, so you don't know how to bring something like that up, especially when
Sure.
your connections with other people are a little more shallow, especially back then, and you're not used to like real life situations quite yet. So
Yeah.
she probably just wasn't sure how to bring it up, and so she brought it up in kind of a clumsy manner, which is what made it funny
Yeah.
in some sense.
Yeah.
Instead of, and she wanted to connect, she wanted to tell somebody, she just didn't know how
Yeah.
or when.
It wasn't
and
this
it
guy.
just kind of bubbled up and just came out.
Yeah. Do you remember?
whatever.
Do you remember what happened? Because I knew what was going to happen after that. It was inevitable. She was going to lay into me for doing that, even though I had already apologized. I knew it was wrong, and I wasn't going to do it again. And we talked for another minute or two, and then she looked over at me and she's like, "Why'd you laugh at that?" I'm like, I turned to you and I go, "I don't know why I laughed at that. I'll be back in my room. I'll see you later." And I got up and left because I knew.
And I think at the time I was like, I know why Adam laughed at that. Because if it's the person I think we're talking about, then yeah, she's the kind who would lay into you for something like that. And you're the kind of person at that point who'd be like, yeah, I don't want to get laid into.
Yeah.
I don't need that.
Yeah.
I got homework to do or something.
Yeah. No. I'm gonna actually. I just go watch Jerry Seinfeld. Or
Oh
something
yeah,
in
I
the
have to
room
do
or-
homework.
Yeah, I go watch a comedy. Yeah, feel better about
E-Bomb's
life.
world.
Yeah.
In those days.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah.
That's actually true.
Yeah.
That was the humor on the internet. Where were we? What were we talking about? Oh yeah.
Joan Rivers.
So we yeah.
That's what I'm here for.
So, and that's also why, if you're offended by something, just shut up. Just shut up.
In the comedy context.
In the comedy context,
Yeah.
especially when you've gone to see somebody, you paid to go see somebody.
And if you
And
don't know who
their
you're going to
stand-up
go see, you should probably look them up first and be like,
Yeah.
is this my kind of humor?
Yep.
Look them up. I mean, we have so many tools and resources at
Yeah.
our disposal. You can go online and watch videos of them and what they talk about
Yeah.
and,
And if
get a sense.
if they're going to be right for you,
I feel bad for people, though, back in maybe 70s, 80s. Imagine watching Full House. You know where I'm going with this.
yeah, I know exactly.
And you see Bob Saget in like this wholesome character, and you're like, I'm gonna go watch his stand-up
For
because
years.
He's
For
funny.
years.
Yeah. You watched it, that show in 8 years, 10 years,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
And you watch it for like 6, 7 years, and you're like, oh, Bob Saget's gonna be in town. I'm gonna go see his show. You don't have that ability back in
No.
the 80s or early
No.
90s or anything to go check
no
online
internet.
to
Yeah.
watch a video. And the internet that we did have is all text-based. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Zork.
You couldn't get lamp. Yeah, so, but it's unforgivable now. You should know who you're going to go see.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
Although in my
agree.
case, we went to go see who did we go see?
Bill
Ben.
Burr.
No, with my wife, with our wives.
Oh.
Ben Brainerd.
Yeah, I think something like that.
right? Yeah, and I just got dragged because my wife really likes him. Tori really likes
Yeah.
him, and so I was like, well, I'll just go with her because of that, and whatever.
Yeah, and he was kind
was
of
fine.
the
He handled the audience very well.
yeah, and he kind of, you could tell he was kind of opposite leaning politically, but he was still funny, and that's important too. Be funny if you're going to be a comedian up on stage and hone your material.
You have a big audience.
Yeah, especially
You
when
need
you
to cater
get
to everybody.
yeah, especially when you start doing your own shows and moving about the country.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yep.
and that should
Yep.
be the case. When you're starting out, small clubs, stuff like that, you don't have to be as funny. That's the rusty material. You need to knock the dust off on it. Do it that way. Any
Shave
comedian can tell you this. Any comedian will know this. It's just the way it works.
Any comedian. Yeah. You
Like
had-
I'm a professional. I've sold out Wembley once,
yeah.
the biggest stadium I know of.
Nobody's heard of that. So you had a third, or did you have any more thoughts on the Joan Rivers part, or there was a third example I remember you said?
Oh
you
yeah,
had.
no, I wanted to talk a little bit, and we kind of really hadn't gotten there, so I'm going to jump ahead a little bit, and then we can just
Double back if needed.
meander. We can.
Oh, because we're not
we could-
already.
Yeah.
This isn't us meandering. We're gonna get to the meandering. You just hold on.
So the third part was is Whoopi Goldberg, and like her position on The View. She, I believe, has turned into what she hates, because every time I watch her on the show, she's now the heckler. It's not funny material. She's just complaining about things other people have said. So it just plays right back into, don't become that thing which you hate. Which
And
I'm taking your line.
How dare you, sir? So you're saying she used to be? Was she stand-up comedian?
Oh, yeah, she was
Okay,
totally
I
stand-up
actually
comedian.
didn't really know that. I just know her from things
Yeah.
like Sister Act and The Lion King.
Yeah,
Uh,
I liked her better in Jumpin' Jack Flash, and I think it was The Phone Booth.
That would make sense because you have poor taste in movies. So you went.
Those were way funnier though. I'm a little black woman.
I've actually
in a
never-
small phone box.
I've actually never heard of either of those. I
Oh.
saw Phone Booth with that one guy,
With the one guy.
Ethan Hawke.
Oh, good. I'm not the only
No.
one that has problems with names today.
Who's the other guy? Colin Farrell.
Yeah, we're getting older. Amnesia.
And I'm
It's
Europe.
Alzheimer's. It's Alzheimer's.
But so she used to hate hecklers, is what you're saying.
Yeah, no, she would get heckled, and some of the stuff they would say to her back then is very similar to the stuff she's saying on The View now.
Mm-hmm.
So
You're not allowed to be funny.
It's just like, what happened?
That's not funny. Yeah.
Where'd you go wrong?
Where did you go wrong, Whoopi Goldberg?
It was the drugs, or maybe the lack of drugs. Maybe she should.
Oh,
Hey,
she stopped.
some more
Someone changed.
LDS.
That is a Star Trek 4 reference. I got that.
So yeah,
Which
so-
is your favorite Star Trek because it's
It
funny,
is
right?
yes,
Yeah.
it is.
You didn't find The Search for Spock hilarious and warm and charming?
I enjoyed that one. I know people say like 2, 4, and 6 are the best of the Star Trek movies. 1, 3, and 5 are garbage that should be burned, and the film should never be recovered ever again. But
That's not true at all.
that is not true. One, I understand what they were trying to. Anyway, we're getting. I
No,
don't want to
no,
go
no.
there.
I want to dig into this because we can go into this a little bit because one is because I actually think it helps because a lot of my principles have been derived from Star Trek. I base my entire life around it. No.
Don't do that either.
No, but there's a lot of good like leadership lessons and stuff in Star Trek. But I think, with entertainment, and you're talking about comedy, you can learn a lot about it. And I think, like, one thing that I've learned getting older is how to appreciate older movies that I didn't as a kid.
Yeah.
And I recently rewatched every single Star Trek movie, all of them up to Star Trek Nemesis, because there's not really any after that worth watching, right? And and I watched the Star Trek The Motion Picture from 1979 or whatever it was. And as I was watching it, I was like, yeah, this is boring as all hell. This is a very dull movie. It's not very interesting. And in fact, it's a rehash of one of the original Star Trek episodes. But I can see they were actually doing this as some sort of like tech spec feature where they had all these different sets and they had all these different graphics and stuff, and you're seeing the ship floating through space, through these nebulas and stuff like that. And so they were really trying to show, hey, we couldn't show you this on the original TV show. We're going to show you this in a movie now because we've got a bigger budget, and we're going to take you on a grand adventure through space. That's what they were going for.
Well,
and I can appreciate it for that.
And I agree with that. This feels like old times. We're doing movies again.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, no.
Well, and the thing about that first Star Trek was, I understand what they were going for. They wanted to show how big the Enterprise truly was. So all of the rooms and everything were like 10 times bigger than anything they had on the show, because they wanted to give the audience the feel of how massive one of the starships truly was.
Yeah.
The problem with that is they completely changed every single set and anything familiar that the fan base came to love and recognize and miss.
That's a good
so
point.
when one came out and there wasn't any of the old sets, it was like, hey,
it's a different show.
Is this Star Trek or what is this?
That's a good point. My appreciation level
the
just dropped back down.
Yeah. Now I've done the same thing for you. Well, it was a 5, and now it's going to be a 4.
Yeah, you like that movie? Let me tell you why you shouldn't.
So
that's a good point. They were like, we got this budget, let's make it big. And not only is the universe going to be bigger, but the ship is going to be bigger and everything too. But now we've alienated half of our fans who are expecting something.
Yeah.
Not my dad, though, because he always talks about the first time it showed up, the Enterprise showed up on the screen, and he went nuts. I think he experienced something inappropriate in that moment, the way he describes it. So.
Yeah.
So, but you like 4 because of the humor, obviously, and your favorite movie is Ghostbusters, which came out around kind of the same time.
1984.
And so,
yep.
Yeah. I guess I don't want to lose track of any points that you wanted to make about heckling and becoming that which you hate. I guess, did you have anything else that you were thinking about there?
No, I just really wanted to stress several points. I think we hit them all. Comedy is about free speech, and you shouldn't cancel somebody or arrest them or prosecute them in any way just because they said something you don't like. And especially in a comedy venue when they're trying to make things lighthearted, make things fun, and make life better for just everyone in general. So shut up, don't heckle. That's the other point. Or leave. You know, it's pretty easy, pretty straightforward, easy things to do. Life's easy when you make it that way.
Adam's 5 tips for enjoying a comedy club experience.
1, be. We're white.
Oh, I'm sorry, I just kicked my doggo. Sorry, Kepler. Yeah, speaking of insulting and offensive material, thanks for that.
Oh, yeah.
Not the comment, this. So, I guess, thinking about Ghostbusters or Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home, tell us about your humor. What's your style of humor? You seem to laugh at just about anything.
Well, because I have such a wide...
You're so sophisticated.
Variety, yeah, sophisticated. Well, maybe it's just because I'm so smart.
Oh, yeah. Well, there is a level of intelligence needed to be funny.
That's true.
Except for your case. You're the one exception.
What? No, it's just I like to laugh and I like humor, and I just like to find that in just about anything. So I really like stand-up comedy the best. I think that's for me. Well, because that's the intent of it, is that you're doing a shared experience and a shared laugh with other people who hopefully share your same humor. Maybe not the values or political agenda or any of that, but you can go and watch somebody tell you something in the ridiculousness, their view of how ridiculous it is, and laugh about it and just have a good time. So
I think that's my highest that my highest level of comedy. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but the thing that makes me laugh the most is absurdity in like everyday life.
Yeah, 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 and that's
Just the absurdity. Just and like I go to work, and you know I'm a manager over a team, and I'll start laughing about something, and everybody else is frustrated, and they'll be like, "Josh, why are you laughing? You have a weird sense of humor." I'm like, "I'm sorry, guys. It's just the situation itself is not funny. I will agree. I understand why you're all upset, but it's just so absurd."
He got it from me.
I can't stop.
He got it from me. I can't help it.
Maybe a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, because I find, and I think that's part of my humor as well, is, you know, everybody's taking stuff so seriously. I'm like, kind of jokerish. Why so serious? But in all seriousness, why serious?
Yeah. In all seriousness, why are you being so serious?
Yeah.
Start laughing, damn it.
Yeah, that's right. We need to be having a good time, not weeping into our Cheerios.
So I expect you to start laughing or you're fired.
That's right.
That's better.
They're laughing and crying at the same time. They're hysterical.
Like that scene from Star Trek 6. We am thy freighter. We are carrying the cargoes.
Green.
Don't catch any bugs. Yeah, Nuto Gross. Green. That's how well I know those movies.
Everything I know in Klingon I learned from Star Trek movies.
Did you know, I don't know why we're talking about Star Trek so much, maybe because it's awesome, but did you know that in the first movie, they were originally speaking English, the Klingons, and then who's the guy who played Scotty? Remind me his name.
James Doohan.
Yes, James Doohan was actually kind of a linguist, and he said, no, that's not going to do. We're going to make a language for them, and but they couldn't reshoot it, so he took the original footage and made a language based on their lip movements. So they're actually speaking English in the scene, and he had them redub it and he created sort of the Klingon language in that one scene. So pretty impressive.
I was going to say, that's my new thing for today. I did not know that.
I win. There's not much that he doesn't know, because he is also, not only is he the funniest person I know, but he also has the most useless knowledge stored in his brain.
True.
And can win any trivia game that we have ever played, ever. Who was the Yankees pitcher in 1986?
Well, which one? You want a starting pitcher or a closing pitcher?
See?
Baseball don't work like that. You have one pitcher the entire season.
See, he knows so much about baseball, too. Well, can you name them?
No, I can't.
Never mind. I retract everything that I just said.
Not that specific. I know that at least I'm pretty sure that the Dodgers won in 1986 and Orel Hershiser threw the final pitch. I can tell you that.
Wow. What year was Einstein born? Only truly smart people know that.
Was it 1932?
I don't know. No. He was developing the bomb in the 40s, early 40s for World War II.
1919?
That's closer, I'm sure. Yeah, he could have been born in the 1800s. It's possible he was born. Actually, it's likely because he was probably in his 50s or 60s.
Don't make me look it up. I don't really want to.
Do it.
No.
Where's your phone?
No,
it's on airplane mode. You can't undo that. These phones aren't designed. His phone was designed specifically for airplanes.
By Einstein himself.
True. Okay, what other thoughts do you have about comedy? Let's get serious.
What are we going to say? I don't know what else to say about it. Those were really all the points I wanted to make.
Yeah, I like the part about free speech, and it helps drive some of the conversation. And I mean, because when you have free speech like that, regardless of what it is, everything needs to be out in the open. You need to have this free speech so that all the bad ideas and all the bad comedy just dies on the vine. Just dies and falls off.
Yeah,
so
and then what
it's
remains are good jokes and good ideas. And and you know, I guess that's true. That's another reason why you shouldn't heckle or
just appreciate it.
Yeah, just appreciate it, because the funnier stuff will come out.
That's what I wanted to bring up too.
The better ideas, the funnier stuff will come out, and it will win, so to speak.
Yeah.
And you'll be better. Everyone will be better for that, not just
especially the comedian who gets paid more.
Yeah.
Because they're funny now.
Yeah.
No, I was going to bring up, do you remember when we went to see Ben Brainerd.
Yes.
I hope I'm saying his name right. And she wasn't a heckler, so to speak, but she wanted to dominate his attention. I thought this was pretty brave of him.
Oh, yeah.
At the end, he said, hey, I'm going to stand out there after my show and we can line up, but I can't spend too much time talking to each of you. I just have enough time just to sell you a sticker or sign something or get a photo with you. But so to get that out of the way, I'm going to answer any questions that you have right now. And this was still during the show at the very end.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to start over here, and then I'm just going to kind of go this way and get everybody, raise your hand if you have a question. And he did, which I thought, as a comedian, when you're up there by yourself, that's actually pretty brave. And there was one girl, I don't remember, you might have to help me remember exactly how it went down, but she said something about, hey, don't you know that I'm the one who sent you these messages? Do you remember her?
Yes. She had purple hair.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Totally natural hair. And she says, don't you remember that I'm the one who sent you all these messages? And then the whole audience, like everybody in the room was like, oh,
Yeah.
And he's like,
silent groan.
he kind of looks at her like, I get a lot of messages. And she's like, oh, you don't remember. Like she was, like she knew him.
Yeah, like.
And then the whole audience, now they all let out a collective groan like, oh, but she didn't even seem to notice.
She plotted on like, she talked like they were the only two in the room.
Yeah, it was weird. And so as a comedian, as anybody who's the only one or at the center of attention or in charge of something, or like a comedian, when you're up there on your own, I think of Chris Rock. You have to be able to think on your feet and be ready for stuff like that. And you probably have to prep ahead of time. Okay, how am I going to deal with this? How am I going to deal with somebody like that?
Some of that's true, but a lot of comedians are really quick.
Yeah.
And if you say something, this is a good spot for the thing I told you about right before we started about the comedian who...
The mold that you have?
No, this one, I'm very sensitive about that. I told you, I'm going to see a doctor.
It looks like my head.
It looks... head. Well, I thought it looked like Abraham Lincoln, but whatever.
You need to not shave it.
Yeah. So, this comedian was up on stage, and his line leading into the joke was, I remember the first time I had sex. And a lady popped off.
Noise ordinance.
Immediately. I'm trying to do some comedy here.
Yeah. Quiet
on the set. So this lady immediately said, what, last night? And the entire audience died laughing. And they were laughing. And you could see the comedian was a little upset.
Whenever your show gets interrupted, I'm sure.
Yeah. He's just waiting for the laughter to lie down. He's just sitting there, and then he's like, "I'm glad you remember." Silence, and that happens a lot with Joe Rogan had some girl on, and I won't tell you everything that he said, but he spent like 5 minutes just.
Well, he got like, I think I've seen that clip. He got legitimately angry and he wasn't making it funny though. He was
well, at least at first he was, because
was he? Then she kept
he did
going?
say, I have a microphone and I don't have to put up with your bullshit like your boyfriend does.
That's pretty good.
And so, so he just laid into her for like 5 minutes, and then towards the end it was a little serious. Like, why don't you just shut up and drink your drink and hang out with your friend? You look ridiculous. You are ridiculous. You think you're funny? If you thought you were funny, you should come up here and take the mic. And there was silence from her for the rest of the show. But
I don't know what people are thinking when they think they can go toe to toe with somebody whose job is to poke fun at things. I love when. That's probably my favorite part about stand-up comedy is when they have to deal with a heckler, not because of what they're having to deal with, but because it really shows who they are and who their character is. Mm-hmm. And I really like it when they can turn it around a little bit and poke a little fun back at them, but get them to laugh at it and get the whole crowd laughing and then get back in their show. I think that's kind of the best. That's a really unique skill to have.
Yeah, and that another reason why not to be a heckler. You're not a professional.
Yeah.
You're going to look stupid or silly, or you just don't do it.
They will tear you apart.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Nobody, and it's the old adage, they don't come to your work and make fun of what you do.
True. That's
too.
true.
That's their job. They're at work,
Yeah.
and you're interrupting. You're taking food off their table. You're taking dollars out of their pocket when you do that.
You ever go to the Renaissance Festival and do that vegetable justice? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I've seen it. I have not done it myself.
You
but
need
yeah.
to go do that and see what it feels like. No, but you always get, and my dad, God bless him, but he's always the one who will get amped up. And I'm not making fun of him, but there's these people who they will see that they're the comedians being funny and kind of poking fun at people, and then they'll try to get into it and poke fun back and just get into the trap and stuff and not win. Vegetable Justice is this stand at the Renaissance Festival in which there's a guy in the stocks, and you pay money, you give over your hard-earned dollars to get 3 tomatoes to throw at him as he makes fun of you and makes everybody else laugh. And I remember when I was like 13, we went for the first time, and I saw him making everybody laugh, and there were like 3 or 4 cute girls just staying there all day listening to him, and I was like, I need to get funnier. I need to be funny. Hey,
I should probably tell you why I liked comedy, or why I thought comedy was. Everybody kind of has that moment, and it was kind of a moment where I thought maybe I would go into comedy and do stand-up. And I don't know if I've ever told you this, so this is going to be special.
now it's for the whole world.
But Bill Cosby, I used to really like Bill Cosby. I still like his comedy. Him, not so much, but his comedy was great.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, drugging and raping girls. Who knew? Sweet Cosby kids.
Can you make a joke about that? Don't answer. You finish the story.
I can do that. So I just watched himself, which is probably the pinnacle of his career. But he was talking about the curse, about how when you were acting up as a child, your mother gave you the curse, and she said, "I hope you have children that grow up and act just like you did at your age." So I'm riding the train, the Durango Silverton train, and my cousins are just fighting with each other. "You're not touching me, you keep touching me, blah blah blah," and they're screeching and crying.
I'm not touching you.
And all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And finally, my aunt got them to calm down, sit down, and be quiet. And finally, she just sighs. She goes, "I don't know what got into you." And being the guy that repeats everything back, I'm like, right, I know me. I know the answer to that right here. She's like, she's got this really confused look on her face. She's like, "Well, what was it?" And I repeated back. I'm like, "Well, Grandma gave you the curse. She said that when you were acting like that when you were a kid, she hoped you would have kids that grow up and act just like you did." And I didn't realize the entire car was full of senior citizens who had all heard the joke as I had just said it. And it was like a laughter bomb had gone off in the car. And everybody was just roaring laughter. And I'm looking around like, hey, that was pretty good. Yeah. And the best part was, there was one woman who had her hearing aid and it was turned off, and her friend was nudging her just really bad, and she was like almost hitting into the window like, what? And she is like, "I gotta tell you something."
Wake up. Wake up, Doris.
You missed the best part of the train ride.
What version of Adam was this? It's 16-year-old Adam, 8-year-old Adam?
I think I was about 11.
Delicious.
10 or 11, yeah. That was such a setup. Oh my God.
What you don't know is I remember that story, and I knew that you were 11, so I had you tell it so I could say that. No, that's not true at all. I don't think I've ever heard that
You should have stuck with it. I totally believed you.
I couldn't keep a straight face, so I wasn't going to make it. No, so it was an addiction. It became an addiction after that?
Kinda. Yeah.
You need your hits now?
Yeah. Well, and there are a lot of comedians out there that have been really good, professional comedians, who say that something similar, or the first time they got up on stage and really gave a great joke and heard the audience laugh like that had them hooked for the rest of their life. That's all they wanted to do moving forward from that moment on.
Mm-hmm.
Me, I'm lazy, and it's too tough now to be
You need your own channel.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have a phone. You can record it.
Oh.
Too much work. Why do that when I can just come over to Josh's house
Well,
and we can do it here?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there you go. Catch me next time on
Vigilant Citizen.
Vigilant Citizen Comedy Edition.
When I take Josh's time. No. I had something to say about that, about the addiction and how it could become a real problem, and we need to get you help. And this is actually an intervention, but I forgot what I was going to say.
It's just you on the intervention. It's not.
Yeah.
You're the only one who truly loves me anymore.
Well, I've been meaning to talk to you about that too.
Oh, I don't even love you. I just. This
Just
is
say it.
I just wanted to
Just go
try
through the
one
motions.
last time before we said goodbye forever. Quit being funny.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. I was going to compare and contrast myself to your humor, is because I'm more funny when I'm not really trying to be.
Naturally funny.
And I wouldn't say that either. You give me too much credit. No, I'm not in general a funny guy. I think when I'm around other funny people, I can help escalate it. Like when I'm around you, like we can build off each other's humor and stuff. But when I'm just by myself, not as much.
Yeah.
I have to work at it. It's not as natural. So like when I delivered, Mom's eulogy, I added a couple things in there that were funny, but it wasn't me being funny. It was me telling funny stories about
Right.
Mom.
Right.
And I think
Waterboarding.
Yeah.
That was hilarious when she did that.
My mom once confused water skiing for waterboarding, and it came out during a game, categories or something, and we're like,
W.
"What are you talking about, Mom?
Hobbies that start with W.
Waterboarding." She was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
on the lake," and
On
we're
the
like,
lake. Well,
"Oh, that's like water skiing." She's like, "What is waterboarding?" I was like, "Let me tell you, Mom." So like that, or when I gave Zach's best man speech, like I had to try really hard, because in the past I've tried to do stuff like when I was a kid, tried to be funny and writing it down and not letting anybody else look at it before I delivered the speech. Like I was class valedictorian. I'm glad that was not recorded by anybody anywhere. Because if it was, I would take the tapes and bury them, set them on fire first, and then bury them, and then everything.
Usually works better that way.
Yeah, you can't bury it and then set it on fire. My house is burning down.
Why is the sand all scorched in the glass? What's it protecting?
And so I think, well, and I've also learned, like, hey, is this actually going to be kind of funny? So send it out to other people and be like, or is this too far? Is this just kind of a dud? Is this just me being stupid and that kind of thing? So I think
it is work.
You got to get your
is work.
feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
So.
even coming up with, from what I've heard, from like Jerry Seinfeld, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. If you're into humor, if you like humor, totally go watch that, because that's really what that show is about. He goes with each comedian, and they talk about the core of comedy, and that's what that show is about. As they're going through that, he talks about his writing process, and there's a scene where he has all of the jokes he's ever written down on paper on this street, and it's like as far as the eye can see. It's a lot of work to get 5, 10, pull together 30 minutes of comedy for a half-hour special.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of work. It's hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
That stuff doesn't happen. Just
To keep their attention for that long.
They make it look easy, but it's not easy.
How many people do you think dropped off after the first 10 minutes in this video?
All of them.
Yeah. How do you know when you've
Hi, no one.
Hi, Mom.
My mom would watch it
Yeah,
too.
she would. She will. We'll send it to her. And how do you know when you've overstayed your welcome?
Well, it's usually after I say anything after hi. Hi. No, that's enough. Thanks for coming over.
That was my awful clumsy segue into saying we should probably wrap it up. Any other thoughts?
Aw.
We've been going for almost an hour. We have
and-
so much to say.
Yeah. Well, but you're going to have to cut
I'm
it
good
down.
at drawing. I'm
this
not
is going
cutting-
to end up being like 15 minutes.
I'm not cutting any of this. This is all pure gold. Well, I think this is good too because on my channel I'm always talking about pretty serious stuff and here's how you do this, and I think this is just a good different side, and it's more casual, and I'm not often casual on these. The last one that I was really casual was with Eric, and we're sitting right here and smoking cigars. That was the only thing we're missing. I didn't have any whiskey. I'm sorry, I'm all out. We had some friends over last weekend, and Tori's friends drank all of my peanut butter whiskey.
Oh, man.
Actually, no. Tori drank all of my...
Alcoholism is fun.
Talk about interventions. Any closing thoughts on that?
No. Be sure to read the comments here because there were a couple of things that I thought of when we were going through, and when I go back through and watch this, I'll try and write those in the comment section, but I've forgotten. And
I'll try to add the clips that you've talked about into the description of the video. If you don't see them, it's because I'm lazy in a different way that Adam is.
It's the same
different
lazy.
level. No, I at least put this. I got this on a tripod and hit record. What did you do?
I got it out. I pressed the button.
I'm the frame. You're the content.
I drove over here.
You did a good job.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
Let's go drink.
I don't have anything.
You don't have whiskey. I'll go pick some up.
We'll just go buy some and we'll get a drink.
Right.
Okay, we're going to go induce our alcoholism. Thank you all so much for watching. If you want more content just like this, find another channel that's actually funny. And I will see you next time for a different topic that's probably just as funny as this has been. Doctor?
Doctor.
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 Comedy is important.
Cut.